going to do that. In progress. So once again, welcome and thank you for being here, everyone.
What's on the screen?
There you go.
Once again, thank you and welcome for being here, everyone. Before I begin and get into my topic for today, I kind of wanted to set the stage a little bit and ask you a couple of questions. The first question is this. Now, imagine you are at home, you've found your car keys, and you're getting ready to get in your garage or get in your car, wherever that might be, and all of a sudden you realize you don't know where you're going. Does that seem like a plausible scenario? Sometimes it could happen, but more often than not, if you get in your car, you probably know where you're going, whether it's the grocery store or the bank or something like that. Now, what about this scenario? You're in your kitchen, you've got your car keys, you get in your car, only this time you do know where you're going. Let's say, for example, you're going to the store. You get in the car, you drive, you may or may not have a particular route how you get there, but the point is you get to the store, you arrive there, but once you get to the store, you realize you don't know what it is you want. How many of you have ever had that experience before? You actually get to a store or something and realize, oh, what did I come here to get? Let me give you a third scenario. You're in your kitchen, you actually find your car keys, they're not lost this time. You get in your car, you know where you're going, you get to the store and you get what you want. And you think, okay, I'm done. And so the question becomes, well, now what? What's next? You know where you were going and you got what you want. What's next? And so what I wanted to talk with you today is about these three questions. Where are you going? What do you want? And once you get what you want, what's next? What happens next? And so let's go back to that first question that I asked for a moment here. For example, you have your car keys, you get in your car, and you don't know where you're going. Now, let's say, for example, this is not the car scenario anymore, but with your life, okay? The question comes up, well, where am I going? Where are you going in your life? Now, regardless if you're high school or college or newly entering the workforce or somewhere in the middle of the workforce, or if you're retired or semi-retired, or in my case, if you're newly retired, something like that, the question inevitably comes up, do you know where you are going? If I were to ask any one of you, do you know where you're going? Let's say next week or next month or next year or even 5 years from now, would you have an answer to that question? And believe it or not, a recent survey showed current employers, when they're interviewing potential prospects, actually ask that question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And believe it or not, the vast majority of people cannot answer that question. And so that is one of the questions that I have for you today. Do you know where you are going? Where are you going? Now, here comes the next question after that. Do you need to know where you are going? That's a good question. Do you need to know where you are going? Now, if you're in your car, for example, you have your keys and you go sit in the driver's seat there. It might look kind of strange if you're just kind of sitting there in your driveway for a few hours, not knowing where you're going. Your neighbors might start to think something is up or get a little suspicious or start to wonder, what's going on here? But the question is, do you need to know where you're going? And you might be surprised by my answer, and you might not be surprised by my answer. But the answer is no. You don't need to know where you're going, because who does know where you are going? And the answer to that question is you. But who are you? Who are you? You are one with Source. You are one with the divinity. You are one with the Great Spirit. And that divinity, that Source, that divine that you are, that Source knows where you are going. The question is not, do you know where you are going, but are you listening? to where you are going? Are you listening? That inner voice within you, some call it your divine guidance, some call it your inner intuition, some call it just a gut instinct, a feeling. That tells you where you are going. So again, it's not a matter of do you need to know where you're going, but are you listening to where it is taking you? So again, regardless of your age bracket or your current stage in life, what is your intuition telling you? Where is it telling you that you are going? So if I were to ask all of you the question right now, a quick survey, or have you write down the answer, do you know where you're going next week, next month, next year, or even 5 years from now? So let's get to the second question then. You know where you're going, but now, do you know what you want? What is it that you want? Now, I could ask this with regard, what is it that you want with regards to finances? What is it that you want with regards to relationships or to career or to a car or a house or something like that? What is it that you want? But to answer that question, I'm full of questions today. Let me ask you another question. What is life really all about? Now, for some, it might be about the house, the car, the career, the kids, the grandkids, something along those lines. And to give you an example of that, I'm going to talk about my parents for a second. My parents, whose memorial service actually I will be attending next week in my hometown of Colorado. If you look at their life, they had it. They, in all essence of the definition of success, they had it all. They had the house, houses, plural. They had the car, cars, plural. They had the kids, plural. They had the grandkids. They had the finances. They had a very, very comfortable retirement. And they had the travel and they had the adventures. By all essence, every definition, they had it. They had what they wanted. Whatever they wanted, literally, they could go out and buy in retirement. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't earn it. They certainly did earn it. They did, according to the definition of society, what you're supposed to do. You get educated, you work hard, you get a good job, and then you retire and you live the good life. And that was them. And so if you look at them from the outside, you could say literally that that was the perfect life, that they had what they wanted. But is that what life is all about? Because for all the possessions that they had, the kids, the grandkids, everything, the houses, again, plural, the exotic trips all over the world, they visited every single continent on this planet. They stepped foot in Antarctica, Scandinavia, the Greek Mediterranean, everywhere. But for all that, they were missing one thing. And so I'm going to humbly offer up a different definition of what it is that we want. And for all that they had and all the creativity and all the energy and everything that they brought to this planet and this physical existence, I would say the one thing that they were missing is that they didn't remember who they were. They didn't remember that God is within them. And they didn't remember that they were connected to Source. And so what if what we wanted was not the house, not the car, not even the kids or grandkids, as great as that is, all that stuff is great stuff. I'm not saying that. But what if what we wanted was very simply to remember, as we sang in the beginning here, as we sing at the beginning of every service, what if what we wanted to remember was who we are? Imagine that for a moment. What would the world look like if all of us made that our number one priority in life? Not the house, not the car, not the career, not the job, not even the family, as good as those things are, as important as those things are. What if we all made remembering who we are our number one priority? Now, my parents, again, bless their hearts, and I love them dearly, and I know they love me dearly for all the creative energies that they brought to this existence in this universe. They certainly rest in peace. But what would it have been like if they had lived in peace? If they had lived in joy, if they had lived in triumph? I see many, many people. They have the house, they have the car. I have very many people that I know in different parts of this country in different parts of this planet that have all of that. But they don't have the peace of mind. They don't have that inner peace. They don't have that inner joy because their top priority is not remembering who they are. So again, I ask you, who are you? Do you remember who you are? And while I cannot tell you specifically what it is you may want on a physical conscious level, the house, the car, I can tell you this: what your soul wants, what your spirit wants, is simply to remember who you are. And maybe that is what life is all about. Perhaps that is what we should begin to really focus on. Now let's take a look at the third question. You know where you're going, and you know what you want. And now you've even gotten what you want. Whether it's that dream job, that dream vacation, the grandkids, whatever it is that you want, you got it. You have it. It's yours. First of all, congratulations. If that's the case, take a few minutes, take a few days, take a few weeks, take a few years, celebrate. Party it up, live it up. Take another cruise maybe. Enjoy, because that is something to behold. If you have that goal, if you know where you're going and you've actually got it, then I would say well done. Because there's a lot of people on this planet who can't even do that. So if you are one of those few, one of the 3%, as I like to call it, that you have been able to achieve what you want in your life, the highest dreams, the highest ambitions, whatever those are, you're standing at the top of the mountain. Again, congratulations. Admire the view. And so now we ask the question, well, what next? If you think about that question for a moment, I'm going to ask that you, again, turn inside, turn to source, turn to spirit, and ask, not who I am now, but who was I last week? Who was I 2 weeks ago? Who was I a month ago? Who was I a year ago? Who was I 5 years ago? Maybe when I started on that particular aspect of my journey. If your journey is to build a small business, or if it's to raise a family or something like that, who were you at the beginning of that journey? And who are you now that you have accomplished that goal? Maybe you are an empty nester now. So what does that mean? Who are you now? So maybe the question is not where are you going, or what do you want, or even what is next. Maybe the question should be, who am I becoming? Where are you now, and who are you becoming? And along those lines, even more importantly, who is it that you want to become? Who is it that you want to be? About 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I'm sitting here driving in my car, listening to the stereo, working on my science of mind, all my principles, trying to do some awake meditation with my eyes open, which I would recommend not everyone always do that while you're driving. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do when you do it. And I was struggling with that question. God, who am I, and who do I want to become? And I was thinking, God, okay, how do I get you to work as me? I know in Science of Mind, we teach that God is always working through us, God is always working in us, and God is always working as us. Well, how do I make that happen? That's what I'm sitting here, I got my tunes blasting, I'm driving my car, and that's the question I asked. When God literally reached down, he had a 2x4, I think it was probably made of oak wood or cherry wood or something like that, and he smacks me upside the head. And God goes, Brad, I am always never not working as you. Hello. And I went, oh. And then God goes, Brad, this is what I want to share with you. You have a choice. You have a choice, the version of God that you want to show up as you in your life. And I went, oh. So how are you showing up? Who are you showing up? You have a choice to show up in your life as bitterness, as frustration. You have a choice to show up as that God version of you, as happy or peaceful or joy, Or you have a choice to show up as pissed off. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. You have a choice how you show up. You have the birth of a new child or a new grandchild. You have the choice how you get to show up. And of course, we know when the situation is full of joy and blessing, it's easy to show up as our God of peace and love in that situation. And this is something I'd mentioned before. How do we show up when we get cut off in traffic? How do we show up when we get the rear behind us? Okay. How many of you ever felt your heart going to your stomach when you've ever been lit up before by the patrol? Okay. I shouldn't admit this here, but I know I have. But that is one thing in my very short 28 years here on this planet. Oh, I got Charlotte listening there. Not 28 years, but that is one thing that I have learned with regards to the question, who am I becoming? Is that you have a choice. So the question is, who do you want to be? Who are you now? And who do you want to be? Okay. And some people will ask, well, what are you doing to achieve that? What are you doing to become that person? And you can say, I meditate, I go for walks in nature, I have a lot of good food, a lot of good friends, a lot of good family, and all of that stuff is good stuff. But it's not about what you are doing to become something. It's about who you are being in the moment. And every moment you have a choice to be who you are. So the answer to the question, what is next, is maybe a journey of discovery of who you are becoming. So what is next is really, who are you now and who do you want to be tomorrow? And maybe life is really not about the car, the house, the kids, the grandkids, even though that is all great stuff. Maybe life is really about remembering who we are and then showing up each and every day as that person that we want to be. And so again, who is it that you want to be? That's a choice that each one of us gets to make. Where are you going? What do you want? Now what? Who or what are you choosing to be? Regardless of any answer to those questions, remember this, that there is just God. There is only God, everything and everywhere. God loves you no matter what. God always says yes. God is always with you, and God will never reject you. You are worthy enough. You are good enough. You are smart enough. You are beautiful enough. You are everything enough. And you don't need anything from anyone. You don't need love from anyone. You don't need happiness from anyone. You don't need money from anyone. Why? The same reason the chicken crossed the road. Because it was there. Because you already are that. Because you already have all that you need. You already have all the love that you could ever need. You already have all the happiness that you could ever need. You already have all the joy that you could ever need. You already have the house, the car, whatever it is. That's the good news. That's how the universe works. You already have it. So continue on in your journey as I begin to wrap this up, knowing that God is always with you, in you, and as you. And also knowing that who you are today is not who you will be tomorrow, nor should it be. It's not supposed to be that way. The best version of you is still to come, and that is what happens next after you get what you want. You get to create the next version of you. You get to be the next version of you, and even better, you get to share it with everybody. So please share yourself with the world, because the world needs you here and now. All of the questions, where are you going? What do you want? Now what? And who or what are you choosing to be are always the beginning of something new, something spectacular, something grand, something extraordinary. And that something is you. So congratulations on everything. Congratulations on your journey. Congratulations on you becoming you. And congratulations for being the person that you were meant to be. And so it is.